you can bring me a $1,500 part. It's going to cost $5,000 to install it. I get to keep that $5,000. Like, oh, perfect. I got an opportunity to make $5,000. Or I can talk you into a $4,000 part that's going to take $1,000 worth of labor to put in. And then at the end of it, you have a way better quality part, a better project. I have made some money and have opportunity to move on to something else. So what's the likelihood of you bringing me more work or telling your friends and us putting out a way better quality product at the end with me trying to take less? So there's always going to be people that take advantages of situations like that, but it's like, that's not our style. I'd rather talk you into doing something good so we can get it in and out. You're going down the road and you like your car.
Welcome to another episode of Modify with TrickFactory Customs. If this is your first time watching, my name is Elvis.
Dave. Just kidding, it's wrong.
Oh my gosh.
You can be anybody you want.
I know. This is 2023.
Yeah, that's right. I got that a lot. You can be anything you like.
Builder Bob.
Tim.
Brett.
Awesome. On this episode, we are going to be discussing mods that make cars worse. Also, we're going to be talking about buying cheap parts, if they're worth it or not, and why you should or should not cheap out on car parts. So
I think those two topics blend together really well.
Yeah. Before we dive into that topic, if this is your first time watching, we're an automotive shop based here in Coquitlam, British Columbia, Canada. And we started this podcast because we love talking about cars, modified cars specifically. And so if this is your first time watching, give the video a thumbs up. If you're watching it on a podcast, also give it 5 stars. And we're just going to get started. So how have you guys' weeks been? Or I'm always terrible with that. How has the week been for all of you guys?
Good.
Go ahead,
Pretty
Brett.
productive.
You can start.
Pretty productive, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just
What's been going on?
working on Lambos.
Okay. Sweet. Short and sweet. Yeah.
Yes. I've been working on the Skylark for the last week still. And also jumping in with Brett and Spencer a little bit. Making lots of things happen. Things are coming together. Yeah. We just got a huge shipment of parts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, got almost a skid of vibrant parts in, so that's pretty cool. Gets me fired up. We got lots of really cool things. It's for the Skylark. You're going to want to check out the videos of that if you haven't already.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been cool. It's been cool, man.
Sweet. What about you, Tim? What's been going on? You've had a busy week.
I've been reading the comments and reflecting on my opinions of things.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Yep. This last week people were mad at you.
Yeah,
that's okay. They can keep it at me.
You literally made like so many thousand people just comment, and so passionate too. Like they wrote like lines of things.
Yeah. Based on what? I don't have to do anything and I can call it a build.
If you didn't watch the previous episode, you should go check it out because it was very awesome.
Entertaining.
Yeah, we talked about what is a car build. This was the last episode. And if you want to know what we're talking about, also check our Instagram.
Yeah, go in the comments and then you'll get a very literal translation of what the word build means and how it applies to every single buddy's life.
Yeah, I just get the notification like my phone vibrates. I'm like, oh, Tim replied to comment in the last video.
I've been receiving an education, so I've been processing all the incoming information.
And you've been called a lot of words.
Yeah, lots of
We've learned lots of new terminology in this last week. It's been actually kind of humorous. It's fun.
Yeah, it's been funny.
Yeah. We've been doing it wrong the whole time. Because we could have just been whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted.
True.
So I think we took the hard way, the hard work, dedication, trial, error, failure, successes. We could have just started right at the top. Just jumped right to the end. I mean, that's our mistake. I learned from it. So now we're moving on.
Yeah, we
So if we can hurt some more feelings today, let's do it.
Oh, yeah. So we're just going to dive straight into the topic. Mods that make cars worse. This is from personal experience. I go by a typical example, cheap coilovers.
Yeah, but I think you got the topics backwards.
Okay, how so?
Because of cheap parts with the intent of making it better can actually make it worse.
Yeah, that's
sort of the tangent of today.
It's easy. You could put Ohlins in your car and you'd be like, oh man, this is the most amazing thing I've ever done to this car. And then you get some, what is it? Max
speeding rods
off of eBay, and immediately your car is worse.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to the quality of the parts, which is going to make your car worse. But as far as mods that actually make it worse,
super stand stout suspension.
Oh yeah,
that makes your car worse.
That makes your car worse. giant wings make it worse. When
Make
you
it
don't need it.
undrivable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
sense.
you just mentioned wings. It might look cool, like getting like a eBay wing or like a cheap wing, but if you don't balance it out, like first of all, check the front, like make sure you put a front splitter, all of that. I think that might make the car worse.
Well, even those cheap wings do function.
Yeah,
So you
no, that's
hang
what I
one
mean,
off
yeah.
the back. It's literally you're taking weight off the front, and you're going to make your car worse.
Yes.
Yeah, really all you're doing is just giving yourself worse fuel economy.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. If you like looking at your car and it makes you feel happy, that's cool. Do your thing. But
Do you guys have any personal experiences with like buying cheap parts and almost instantly regretting it?
really what happens is you end up regretting like the cost versus time spent in install and all that kind of stuff. Like immediately you hate it. You're like, oh my God. Like as an example, like the Duraflex kit that we bought for the
what?
190, like way back in the day, that was the only thing available. So it is what it is. But the amount of time that you had to put into actually installing it and making it what it is now was tremendous. Like it was fucking horrible.
I think one thing
right?
is like
and that leads us into why we're recreating it in the fashion that we're doing now.
it's like these replica kits that you can buy that replace these expensive kits. Oh,
No.
There's no savings in it. There's
No,
literally
there's
no
nothing.
savings in it.
Well, I mean,
If-
we go back and forth with our customers all the time because we get hit up all the time. Hey, I just got this kit. I paid whatever, like dirt cheap, Liberty Walk or whatever it was. And yeah, can you install it? It was, oh yeah, we can totally install it. You know, but it's going to be this, and it's like some astronomical labor cost because we have the experience doing it. And we know it sucks. Pay way more money than what am I saying?
No,
Save your
you're gonna make
money.
us come off like
buy.
Oh, gosh.
assholes.
No, save your money, buy real parts, buy the real kit, buy the real suspension, whatever. And yeah, however
Especially
long it
for
takes to
just-
save your money, do whatever you need to do. But it's the end result's gonna be better.
yeah, even just the turnaround time on being able to do it.
Right?
This is-
Yeah. My only problem with
Crazy
half of these
difference.
guys that do this stuff is like you bring a really nice car and then you want to put a really cheap kit on it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't even make sense. Like,
Yeah.
it's the end result, like the amount of time and effort that we have to put it in to make it look like it belongs on that car is going to outweigh any savings that you got.
Oh,
So
really?
you're way better
There's
off
no
to buy the
savings,
actual
really.
legit kit.
Oh, wow.
And then at least at the end, you can sell that kit based on what it is. You can
So
sell
how
your
you-
car. It's like, this has a legitimate Liberty Walk kit on it. Or you're going to try to sell your cars like this car looks like a Liberty Walk car.
Yeah. And that definitely
So then you're
leads-
losing on the back end too. So it's wild. And
So
some of
you're
that stuff
making it
is
worse.
Complete trash.
For sure.
Like absolute trash.
Yeah.
But again, we're probably going to get hated on because you can't all afford $17,000 kits. It's like, no, you can't afford $17,000 in labor to make your kit look the way it's supposed to look.
That is true.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of people's intentions are, I bought this kit for cheap. I want it installed for cheap, but I want it to look like the real one, and it's just not doable.
That's why you see these cars rolling around with bad gaps, bad fitment, cracked body kits, all these random things that make it look, that bring, negativity to the whole industry. Because, yeah, you get old guys like me, and I look at this, I'm like, this is hell. You paid a shop to do this? And I'm upset for you because you spent a bunch of money and got ripped off.
Yeah.
And then I'm honest and tell you what it actually takes, and then it's like,
Yeah, they don't take it the right
they
way.
don't take it the right way. It's like if you want it to look like it belongs on that car, which we all strive to do because we're trying to be better, then it just costs money. You're not saving. Like we've seen so much stuff. Like I'm a researcher, so I don't think I've really ever bought anything that's super horrible or super cheap and regretted it, because we've had enough stuff come through the shop that I get to see like we're fixing failures all the time because of cheap stuff. And then people you just forget it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get all.
And I think more often than not, when you buy like, the cheap part versus the expensive part, the likelihood of it failing, right out of the box is much, much higher as well. I mean, and you have no recourse when you buy some repop, some cheap parts, white box special, whatever it is. If it fails and it doesn't work right away,
Where are you gonna
what are
go
you
with
going to
it?
do with it? It's garbage now. You just lost all your money. But if you spent real money on something that's actual brand and you have warranty and all that, at least you have some recourse. So save
you
your
can
money.
Send it back.
I've
They're
had
kind-
both experiences. Though,
Yeah,
where
for
I've-
sure.
I've spent a lot of money on expensive parts, and then it fails almost instantly.
And you know what? And
That's
what's sad
frustrating.
is that that's so common nowadays too.
Extremely.
Because we always strive to buy like the quality parts.
Like seriously, we have customers like, what do you mean it's broken? It's brand new.
yeah. You're like, oh,
like,
well,
oh.
what do you want me to say?
So I'd
But-
say the one caveat to the whole thing is there's different things that you can buy. Like you can buy inexpensive parts with the
Okay.
opportunity to refinish them and customize them and tailor them to your build. And then there's just straight up cheap
Cheap
parts.
stuff.
Like if it has moving components in it, I will not buy it out of a white box.
Really?
it's almost-
Okay.
and electronics too.
Electronics.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's like a bracket, sure, you can buy a bracket, clean it up, refinish it. It'll look
Yeah.
like $1 million. But some of the like if it has moving parts in it, I will not buy it.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I've had a similar experience with like the cheap stuff because I am a cheap person by nature. I just like finding the best deal, but I have noticed that it's not always worth it because the cars that I've had, I would try to maybe cheap out on headlights or all of these little things, or like you said, electronics.
Yeah.
And initially it's like, oh, this is an amazing deal, 80% off, boom, it's awesome. Buy it off of
You
eBay.
end up not saving anything. You actually end up losing money.
Yes.
And then like I say, even some of the things that we've purchased inexpensively, knowing that we're going to modify, by the time it goes out the door, it will probably cost more than what something else did. But it gave us the opportunity to create something unique.
Yeah.
And finish it to a level that we're happy with.
So in
Yeah.
that situation, it's okay because we know what we're gonna start with.
Yeah, so if you're
To
buying
end
it
with.
solely for the foundation as a jumping off point,
Yeah.
or you see something better in that product, like maybe it doesn't come in the color that you want, or maybe if you're like, hey, if I just take this thing off, I can clean this thing up and then refinish it, and then it's an amazing part,
Yeah.
which helps bolster your project and make it more unique and stand out from everybody else. So, I mean, there is lots of opportunities to save money and buy decent stuff and then modify, refinish, whatever, tailor it to your needs. But just buying cheap parts, you're going to fail every single time.
Yeah.
So I think there needs to be a differentiation between inexpensive parts and cheap parts.
Okay.
So some stuff has great value. There's lots of good things out there. Like we don't all need BBS and Olin's. There's other versions of it that'll suit your needs. Maybe you clean them up, dial them in, and away you go. It'll be perfect.
So what do you guys think about replica stuff, like replica wheels, for example? Because the wheels are expensive, and the name brand stuff a lot of times is really expensive.
I think that comes down to value again.
Yeah.
Because some stuff that is really good and is expensive is justified. But then there's other things that it isn't justified. It's just a ripoff. So it's like you just got to pick and choose those individually and what your needs are. Do you need like the lightest possible magnesium E88 for the street? No, it's going to not serve your purposes. So maybe you can get a lesser version of it, stay on brand because it's not priced astronomically. Or in that case, you can get something similar. But a straight up ripped off part, I don't agree with that. Like I wouldn't
really?
roll
Okay.
I've bought rep parts before,
Yeah.
and then modified it.
Oh,
but I'm not
okay.
trying to present it as though
like it's the actual
it's
part.
The actual part. Like I
Okay.
don't think you should be doing that.
Yeah, usually in that situation, you're like, removing the branding and everything as well.
I just need the bones of what it
Yes.
is, just to get myself a little bit further, so I'm not building it from scratch.
Yeah, sometimes that just makes sense, right?
So, and that applies to a bunch of stuff, like all kinds of things. Like you can buy something knowing that it's not great, but it gives you a jumping off point from there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's a big part of like a lot of things that we do here in this shop is, because we modify everything
Yeah.
right out of the box.
just
it's
to bring
just-
continuity to the whole project.
Yeah.
So even if it's just matching all the finishes on everything.
Right? I mean, that's a thing in itself. Like if you use black as your color, if you got like, one version of something right next to another version of something and it's both black, but they're different in some subtle way, it's going to stand out and it's going to look wrong. So, I mean, you just
Look cheap.
automatically, why would you do that? Just put a little effort into refinishing it. If you know you can save a little bit of money and buy a slightly lesser whatever, you can invest more in the labor.
Time,
Yeah.
finishing, details.
So with the 190 that you guys did all the work to, you didn't buy like a reputable like Evo kit?
There was nothing available at the time. So when we did that,
I thought you said the only one available was the OEM.
Yeah, the
well, you could
OEM.
do an OEM one from
But that's-
Mercedes
Oh,
Classic.
you could? Oh, wow.
But at that time, even at that time, like 20 years ago, it was like probably $30,000.
Oh.
I think just the wing alone was like 8,000 USD,
That's
my
a lot.
God.
which
Gosh.
is insane. Because at that time, when I bought my original 2.5, it was like you could buy a Evo 2 for 50 G's.
And plus, you said that like even if you look at the pictures online that you made me notice, they don't fit. Well.
don't look good?
Well, yeah,
Oh,
that's the other
really?
side of it. Like
No,
Tim
they
said, he's a
don't.
researcher.
So you
and
spend
he
that much
saw-
money for something that looks like hell.
Yeah, and then you don't have opportunity because of the material that it's made out of. You don't have opportunity to modify it. Plus, you'd be crazy to buy $8,000 wing for a Mercedes for that particular car and just to cut it up and mess it up. Yeah. So like that car back in the day when I bought that Duraflex kit, it was a complete, absolute pile of shit.
Oh,
It was
wow.
basically garbage. So I'd say
It was
there's
pretty bad.
probably maybe 10% of that original kit. in
No
that car.
way.
Because we ended up having to redo everything.
Oh my God.
Like the amount of hours that we have into that kit is insane.
Some of those flares were cut into like 10 pieces.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And then put back together.
Like
That's
those kits come
crazy.
basically made out of resin. Like there's so little fiberglass in it, it might as well be made out of toilet paper.
Wow.
Like,
so it's really
so bad.
fragile too.
Super fragile, super brittle, hot mixed, comes out the things like glass. There's zero flex,
Yeah.
flex.
Wow.
So, but I mean, it was a jumping off point, and it gave us the rough shapes for us to create that what we did. But that kit's not cheap. That kit's probably, I don't even know, $30,000 in labor.
Yeah.
Well, see,
But
and,
that
and like
gives you the
Yo.
proper fitment that
right.
you want.
So if
instead of
we didn't
spending
if
that
we
on
didn't have
OEM.
somebody like Brett with his skill set, you know, to be able to make it what it is, if you would have bought that kit, put it on your car, you know, it would have ruined your car, ruined it.
it wouldn't even
And
fit.
and you know what? I've actually seen
That kit was so
I've
bad.
seen many videos on YouTube recently where people are doing the very same thing, and then like there's this one series that I can't remember what the channel was, but the guy did the Duraflex kit on his 190, and he's trying to do a motor swap build, probably inspired by the Evil Evo.
There's probably-
and like the last video about that one was probably 6 months ago, and the latest video was like, I ruined my car.
That's what he said. Really?
Yeah. No, and that's just it.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
cheap. It's cheap garbage that requires a really talented skill set and a lot of time and investment to make it work. So it's ruined. It's done. There's no point.
I would say the Evil Evo is probably responsible for at least, I don't even know, 50 ruined cars.
Yeah.
Because I get people hit me up because they want to buy the kit.
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
like, the kit is this much. And they're like, oh, that's too much. I'm going to just make it myself. And then they'll send me a picture of like a bunch of cardboard boxes taped to the side and 2-part foam. And they've cut a bunch of stuff away. And then I never see it again. Because based on how many people have started because of the Evil Evo and the interactions that I've had, there should be hundreds of these cars out there. Hundreds. And I still haven't seen one. And how many
a lot of time, a
how
lot
many
of
people
effort.
do we get that want this kit? And it's like they just don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
But we have so much time and effort into creating this kit that it's, you know, that's just what it costs. And I'm not going to put out a product that's junk.
No.
Because the same as like what we discussed about using rep parts. I don't want a bad product out there with my name on it. So I'm not going to buy ripped off other people's stuff because I don't want people ripping off my stuff.
Yes.
So it's like, it's just a, you know, respect for the industry. But some people just think you're ripping people off,
Yeah.
charging too much without any actual understanding what it takes to make this stuff and how many hours you actually get into it.
Yeah.
And then when you, based on the production numbers, it's like, you know, you got to break it up and divide it. And that's how you end up with your price tag. And there's going to be people that are standing by waiting to give me money. And then the other side of it is like, nope, I'm making myself. And then they learn quick. So there is value in some
So at the
things.
end of it, it's cheaper and better to buy the kit,
Yeah.
It's faster.
the
It's
proper
easier.
kit.
Yeah. So because you guys have, I feel like you've mentioned before that an advantage of buying the actual original part is it fits a lot of times. It fits the first time. Like with, I think, Liberty
Okay.
Walk.
So here's
Liberty Walk.
a thing to justify it. I
Yeah.
have plenty of opportunity to put cheaper parts on people's car and glean more labor time out of it. But instead, I'd rather educate you, be like, okay, you can bring me a $1,500 part. It's going to cost $5,000 to install it. I get to keep that $5,000. Like, oh, perfect. I got an opportunity to make $5,000. Or I can talk you into a $4,000 part that's going to take $1,000 worth of labor to put in. And then at the end of it, you have a way better quality part, a better project. I have made some money and have opportunity to move on to something else. So what's the likelihood of you bringing me more work or telling your friends and us putting out a way better quality product at the end with me trying to take less? So there's always going to be people that take advantages of situations like that, but it's like, that's not our style. I'd rather talk you into doing something good so we can get it in and out. You're going down the road and you like your car.
You don't have to come back.
You don't have to come back. I don't want you to come back. Like, I mean, I like all my customers, but I don't want to see them every day.
You want people to love their car and the whole joy of customizing, personalizing. You know, you want to do that for them so the car's not in like the customizer jailhouse for a crazy amount of time because the amount of labor it takes to do it. Like, I would rather you spend more money on a product, us install it, make it, you know, a nice fitted, legitimate car that has a better value, and you're driving it right away, like sooner than later, and then you just love the car more.
And it's more enjoyable for the people installing the parts too. If you're going to do it yourself at home, if you buy a nice piece, it's nicer to just...
It's instant gratification.
Exactly.
So
and
this comes into the whole
tons of time,
like, what's a build?
On the same thing for so long.
Yeah,
it gets repetitive, and you don't want to, and then a lot of people, that's why you see, like you said,
interest.
You lose interest and you walk away because it's too hard to do. You're like, this is just too difficult. But if you just spent a little more up front, you'd see more progress way quicker, and you'd probably get through your project much faster, and you'd actually enjoy it.
Yeah,
because we've experienced it too.
You just get tired of just being beat down by cheap parts. And I got to cut this and drill this and retab that, and then as you'll find, once you get into like the higher quality parts that seem more expensive, they're very specific in what they do. So it's like it fits this with this drive system with this particular thing, and it goes on, and you're like, yeah, it's 45 minutes. That was amazing. Whereas if like, here's an LS drive system, and you go to put it on, and it's like, oh, only works with a truck pump and this particular alternator and like
a whole list of things.
We've been bitten by it.
100%.
We've been bitten by it.
And that was a cheap kit.
And it was a cheap kit. And it literally immediately beat you in the ass because the customer like, oh, I don't really care. Let's just get something that'll make it work. And next thing you know, you're chasing water pumps around and all kinds of wild stuff. And it's like, you don't save anything. And if I charge you out for that, because I let it happen, it's like you bought a $200 drive system that I had to with for 2 days.
Hours,
So is it any cheaper than the really nice
actually buy
$1,500 one that we could have had in 3 hours and out the door? Yeah. Plus, you get to take all that money home with you.
True.
The other way around, you're leaving all that money with me, and you still have a part.
Yeah. That's a good point.
It's not worth it.
Because at the end of that, you could have that nice, beautiful billet system instead of just some.
And then he's out there living his best life, going to car shows and like, yeah, those guys are great. Yeah. Whereas if it's like, you paid $2,000 for that? What the hell? Like, dude, I saw that on Summit for $149. It's like, well, it took 2 days to put it in. And it's got extra holes in it, and you had to cut an ear off. Like, so it might seem like you're being elitist, but I don't think it is. I think you're just being smart and putting actual value into the time and effort that people put into developing good quality stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. That's. I think probably a lot of people out there, when they listen or watch these podcasts, they probably do think, oh, you guys are just elitists. You know, you only use the best of the best. And it's like, well, we're trying to do that, and I think there's a lot of like morality for us. We want to give you the best possible product as well. Like, and you know, you should hold on to that. We want to give you the best possible thing.
Yeah, and I feel like you, from just being here for the past year, you guys do exactly like you want the best from that product for the customer, because again, you wouldn't want to take advantage of the customer, and you guys have the experience with to know what a cheap part is and what an expensive part is, or what if it's worth it or not. And so I feel like you're not being elitist. It's just being smart.
Yeah, and it comes with trial and error and experience.
Yes.
So, and we have a lot of that. So like, if you're just only listening to this based on that, it's 100% we could come across like that. But in reality, we're just trying to do the absolute best for our customers and for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I don't want negative phone calls. I don't want people calling being pissed off at me, because we talk about it all the time. Like, a guy will put a part on, but before he'll spend the money, because I'll be like, this is $5,000, $2,000, $500, doesn't even matter. he'll go run it by all of his friends first. Be like, hey, man, these guys want to put this thing on there. And then everybody's got an opinion.
Yeah.
Whereas if you pick a really good quality part that costs money, it's generally accepted by everybody. Some people are like, oh, that's crazy, like blah, blah, blah. And then I'll go to the customer like, how's his car working? Like, I don't know. He's still working on it, I think. Well, we can avoid all the problems that he's having by doing this. And then I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. You're going to get your car 3 weeks earlier. And then I can move on to something else because I don't want to spend the rest of my life with your car.
Yeah, when you're at the next car meet and you're kicking tires and you're, shooting the shit with your homies, you have that. You'd be like, yo, man.
SUV and you're in your project car.
Yeah.
There you go. You win.
A win is a win.
Call that a win, yeah.
Yeah.
Just because it's inexpensive doesn't necessarily mean it's cheap. And just because it's expensive doesn't necessarily mean it's good. So you got to do your research. I get it trapped in it all the time because that's the bulk of what I do here is I'll see something for, I'll go looking for something specific because I've heard about it. I've seen it. It looks like a great part. And then of course you get on the internet and you're like, okay, this thing's $1,500. But while you're searching, you find another one that's $3,000. But you also find another one that's $500. Mm-hmm. So then that's when like all the research part, and then you jump on forums and you like look up reviews, and it's like then you start to find all the little idiosyncrasies of each part, and then you got to decide what you're willing to accept.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's like there'll be some crazy guy that's like, oh, when I was at the track and I was lap 47, I noticed that I found just a tiny bit of fade.
Lap 47.
Like, okay, well that's probably not.
It's a bit too extreme.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be a problem for you. So maybe we can stay in the $1,500 range. And then at the $500 range, it's like, man, this thing rides like a lumber wagon. It's fucking horrible. I don't even want to drive my car anymore. You're like, okay, so that's off the list. Let's start working our way back up to where it meets my requirements.
True.
Yeah.
I think another thing is knowing your own car.
Oh, that's good.
You know what I mean? Like every car is so different. Hondas, Mercedes, BMW, Chevrolet, like everything is so far apart.
Yeah, if you're trying to turn something into something that is not, then you're just going to fight it forever.
Because you could take a Honda Civic and put $500 coilovers in it, it'll probably improve. But if you put $500 coilovers in a Mercedes, it's not going to improve it at all.
Yeah.
It's going to make it worse. So
that's a really good point, Brett.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. You got to know your project. You have to know what you're expecting out of it, what its intended purpose is in life is, and choose your parts accordingly. That's like a really good point.
So I think too many people now, especially some of these younger guys that really dislike me, build their cars to an aesthetic.
Yeah.
Whereas we've done all that stuff and now we're beyond that. So we want our cars to be better, perform better, function better. It's not just about creating a look anymore for us. So if that's where it comes off as like, your car's a pile of shit, that's because you did it to it.
Yeah.
I don't want that for myself. Like I would rather forgo having a big wing for having more suspension or more brakes or more performance. So it's just a transition, and like they can hate as much as they want, but they're going to get there too.
Yeah, because it also, again, it comes with experience, like we've been talking about too, because with my Datsun, I got really cheap coilovers, max speeding rods, coilovers. They were like, what, like $400, I think, or $300. I know, for
crazy. So right away, that would be like a big red flag for me. Like, whoa. Why do these ones cost $2,500 and those are $329 and they can be here by morning?
Yep. And I was like, oh, nah, it can't be that bad. It should be fine. It works. It looks great.
You could have saved another $300 just by putting a steel rod in it.
Honestly, like after I had the coilovers for a while, it was just because I had driven the Datsun stock for a little bit, and it was so bad I had to switch back to the stock ones because it was so harsh.
How was your last physio appointment?
I know. I'm still going to the chiropractor because of that car. It's destroyed my back, but like it made me like I don't even care how much it costs anymore. I'm like, I just want something more comfortable. Like it doesn't matter what it costs. And I feel like that also comes with, you try to tell a lot of times it's like being a parent. You try to tell people, you're like, oh, this sucks.
You were smart enough to realize that.
Yeah, but the biggest misconception is everybody thinks hard is fast and hard is not fast. Soft is fast.
Yeah. More explanation on that, please.
Yeah, please elaborate.
Yeah. People could take that a lot of ways.
Yeah, there's a lot of different podcasts. That's a whole different podcast. But that's the actual thing. Everyone thinks that having super hard suspension is fast, and then that's not the case. You want your suspension to be able to compress and rebound and keep your tires on the road.
Oh.
So softer is faster. It needs to be able to absorb all of
the
these
impact,
things.
yeah.
Keep your tires stuck to the road so you can turn faster, accelerate faster. Whereas if it's rigid, you're literally losing contact with the road.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me, and they all say the same thing. You need a quality product that's going to keep your tires stuck to the road.
Yeah.
I used to BMX race when I was a kid.
A what?
So a BMX race.
Oh,
and I
okay.
used to be like that guy. Like I wanted to do all the big jumps and, you know, doing all these wild stunts. And then this one kid just kept beating me. I couldn't beat him no matter how crazy I was and all the wild shit that I was doing. And I was like, why is this guy always beating me?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because he kept his tires on the ground.
Oh.
And he was always pushing forward.
It makes
Whereas
sense.
I'm floating. I'm not. It's complete loss of acceleration.
Yeah.
Whereas his tires are stuck on the ground. He's always pushing forward. And he beat me every time until I stopped doing that.
Wow. Okay.
You were a lot more exciting to watch, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like that is more fun. Like,
Yo, man, that's so cool.
yeah.
But that's a good point, though.
So, I mean, that's a place to start, and we build to an aesthetic, and it's awesome. But I mean, you're going to mature, and you're going to want better
Something
performance
better.
stuff.
You'll learn how to do both.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to give up some comforts for aesthetics, that's awesome.
More power to you. Yeah.
yeah, as long as that's part of your
As
program.
long as you're aware
right?
of it, and don't try to tell me that, you know, like, oh, you're just being an asshole. Cause
Yeah.
It's like, no, man. Just be honest about what you're doing. Be like, I don't give a shit how it rides. It looks awesome. Like 100%, I'm with you. But don't tell me it's awesome just because it looks cool. You can't do it. I'm smarter than that.
You want to say something, Brett?
Oh, I wouldn't cheap out on anything electronic for the engine or drivetrain or anything along that line too. Because I bought cheap stuff that was like $40 cheaper instead of the $89 part. I bought the $40 part. And it just wasn't worth it at the end. I ended up buying the $89
Twice.
part.
Oh.
Yeah.
You buy it twice and you're down 80 and you still end up paying the 80.
Yeah, and the aggravation of that is just
Super frustration, leaving you
so
stranded.
annoying.
Might have to
Yeah.
buy get a tow truck to get your car home,
Right.
all that different stuff. It just, in the end, doesn't save you any money.
But
Like-
it's brand new.
It is brand new, so you
So
think
when you're
it'll.
troubleshooting, it's like, I don't know what the problem is, man. It's brand new.
It can't be
and
this.
But it's
Yeah.
like, it was $12. So it'll bite you in the ass every single time.
Yeah. Also, the same thing with like my BMW injectors. There, you could buy cheap ones for like on Amazon for way cheaper, but when you read the reviews, it's like, no, don't buy this. Don't cheap out. Buy the OEM one because this one always fails.
But
But on the opposite end of that, you'll have like, we had a customer who needed backup sensor for his Silverado pickup. So the stock one is like whatever, $300. He bought one off Alibaba. He got a bag of 100 for like $25. He's
No
like, I don't care. It
way.
takes me 2 minutes to change it. I was like, in
Yeah.
that-
Keep
I was
changing
like-
forever.
Yeah, it's like in
that's
that
just smart.
Yeah, in that context, 100% do it. It makes sense because you'll change 100 of them and you're still $100 ahead.
Yeah.
But then there's some stuff. It's like I've been chasing a head gasket for my Mercedes for 2 years because it's like a 20-hour install. You don't want to do that again to try to save $150.
Yeah.
So you just
Yeah.
gotta like every
That comes
situation
down to
is
research.
yeah, it's just a ton of research and like so many people like, oh, I bought the $75 one and I'm taking my car apart again. Which is great if you can do it yourself and it doesn't cost you money. Not everybody has to take it to the shop, but you still want your car tore apart and drive.
It is annoying to always have your
Bro,
car
that-
down.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So you're not saving anything. So if anything, I'd say as you get older, your time becomes worth more.
It's so true. It's so true. Yeah.
So-
Awesome. With that said, anything else before we end this episode? This was a short one.
It was a short one. Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't
Buy
have
good
I
shit.
don't have anything else.
Yeah, but exactly.
Save your money. Buy quality stuff. Do your research.
Yeah,
You know,
save up
there's
and then buy something.
we're actually we're in a pretty cool time where there's a lot of reviews. You can read a lot of reviews and see. I like base a lot of my decisions on that. You know?
Yeah, we have more
Yeah.
access to information now and intelligent people than we ever have in the history of the planet.
Yeah.
So you have no excuse for
Yeah.
being, you know, it's all it does is take 10 minutes to figure it out. There's a million people that'll tell you.
Awesome.
And if you don't like the answer because it costs a lot of money, then it's probably not for you yet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet. That's it. Have a great rest of the week. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.